When you finally walk away from a narcissist, you expect a massive explosion of rage. It is completely natural to anticipate standard, loud anger because that is simply how normal people react to rejection. But what actually happens behind the scenes is infinitely more calculated, vicious, and deeply revealing. They do not just get mad, they enter a state of complete psychological panic. To truly understand this, you have to realize that a narcissist does not see you as an independent human being with your own feelings and choices. They see you as a direct extension of themselves, a tool specifically designed to validate their existence. When you definitively pull the plug and make it clear you are gone for good, you are not just breaking up with them. You are rewriting their entire reality. Your departure punches a massive, irreparable hole right through the center of their carefully constructed false persona. Suddenly, the shiny, invincible armor they wear to trick the world is cracked wide open. Without you there to absorb their projection, blame, and emotional instability, they are forced to do the one thing they dread most in this world. They have to look directly into the mirror. Beneath all that loud arrogance, condescension, and superficial confidence lies a terrifying, pitch-black void of deep-seated shame and absolute nothingness. Throughout your entire relationship, they used you as their personal emotional regulator. Whenever they felt inadequate, they put you down so they could feel superior. Whenever they felt empty inside, they drained your energy, your love, and your attention to fill themselves back up. You were the steadfast anchor keeping their internal chaos from bubbling up to the surface. The moment that anchor is gone, the internal dam breaks and they completely unravel. They can no longer use direct access to you to stabilize their fragile ego, and that sudden loss of control sends them into a terrifying psychological freefall. It is a desperate, frantic scramble for sheer survival because their brain simply cannot handle the reality that they were not important enough, powerful enough, or special enough to make you stay. The angry outbursts you do happen to see are just a tiny, superficial symptom of a much larger internal and systemic collapse. Phase 1. The forbidden fruit and image control. The exact second a narcissist realizes you are genuinely and completely unavailable, a major switch flips inside their mind. This is the exact moment where their indifference turns into a fierce, dangerous obsession. Up until this point, they probably assumed you were just playing typical games, throwing a temporary tantrum, or trying to teach them a lesson. They are so deeply delusional about their own value that they genuinely believe you will always come crawling back to them. But when the harsh reality finally sets in that the door is locked, the keys are gone forever, and you are never coming back, the forbidden fruit effect hits them with full force. It is a basic rule of human psychology that people always want what they cannot have. But a narcissist takes this concept to a borderline psychotic level because they possess a bottomless pit of entitlement. Being told no is an existential threat to them. The fact that you are now completely out of their reach makes your value skyrocket in their eyes. You are no longer just the partner they took for granted and disrespected every single day. You are now the ultimate prize that slipped right through their fingers, the primary source of validation that they can no longer control. This triggers a frantic, obsessive craving to conquer you all over again at any cost. Not because they actually love you, but because they absolutely loathe losing. To cope with the unbearable humiliation of being abandoned, their very first line of defense is to launch a massive, highly strategic image management campaign. They are absolutely terrified of the truth leaking out to the public. If people see that you left them cleanly and decisively, those people might start asking uncomfortable questions about what actually happened behind closed doors. To prevent this from ever happening, the narcissist immediately switches into full performance mode, turning their entire life into a heavily curated public relations stunt. They will flood social media with a relentless barrage of manufactured happiness, sudden professional success, or a deep, overnight spiritual awakening. Suddenly, they are posting pictures of themselves smiling wider than ever before, hanging out with completely new people, hitting the gym hard, or sharing deep philosophical quotes about peace, growth, and moving on. They want to create a loud, undeniable visual narrative that screams to the world and to you that they are not only completely unbothered by your absence, but that they are actually thriving because of it. You need to see this elaborate performance for exactly what it is: pure identity camouflage. It is a frantic, desperate illusion designed to control the public narrative before your quiet absence shines a blinding spotlight on the toxic reality of who they truly are underneath. It has absolutely nothing to do with genuine healing, personal happiness, or moving forward in a healthy way. It is simply a calculated defensive shield put up to protect their fragile ego from crumbling in front of an audience. They are trying desperately to trick the crowd into believing they were the ones who checked out of the relationship first, or that your departure has zero impact on their daily life. Every single happy photo, every motivational status update, and every public display of joy is a direct, fabricated lie meant to rewrite the facts and mask the chaotic, raging storm currently tearing them apart from the inside out. Phase 2: Rewriting History and the Smear Campaign. Once the narcissist has successfully set up their public stage, they immediately shift into an aggressive, systematic campaign to completely rewrite the history of your relationship. They do not just tweak a few minor facts here and there. They totally re-edit the entire timeline from start to finish. In this new fictional script they create, they transform themselves into the patient, loving, and completely blindsided victim while painting you as the unstable, toxic, and abusive villain. They will confidently look mutual friends, family members, or anyone else who will listen straight in the eye and claim they tried absolutely everything to save the relationship. They will tell people they were incredibly patient with you, that they constantly walked on eggshells around you, and that your sudden departure completely traumatized them. By making you out to be impossible to get along with, deeply ungrateful, and crazy, they create a perfect lie that protects their fragile ego from the brutal truth of why you actually left them behind. This calculated smear campaign serves a very important dual purpose. First, it builds a protective wall of sympathy around them. Second, it preemptively ruins your credibility, so that if you ever decide to speak out about the psychological abuse you endured, the world has already been conditioned to view you as the abusive one. While they are busy destroying your reputation behind your back, they will simultaneously begin to test your boundaries using highly calculated indirect contact. They rarely ever reach out with a direct, honest conversation because that requires a level of vulnerability which they are fundamentally incapable of showing. Instead, they will quietly probe through the side doors of your life. You will notice them constantly viewing your social media stories from burner accounts, liking and then quickly unliking old posts, or casually dropping leading comments on things you happen to be tagged in. They will leak highly specific messages through mutual friends, knowing those friends will naturally bring the information right back to you. They will even go as far as to manufacture fake urgent emergencies like a sudden medical scare, a messy legal issue, or a crisis involving an old pet. All of this is done simply to force you into a position where you feel socially or morally obligated to respond. You must understand that this is not an attempt at a genuine connection. They do not miss you for who you are, and they certainly do not want to fix things. This is a cold, calculated fishing expedition. They are desperately looking for concrete proof that they still occupy space inside your head and that they still possess the power to trigger an emotional reaction out of you. Phase 3: Strategic Escalation and Replaced Supply. If those subtle, soft manipulation tactics ultimately fail to get your attention, the narcissist's internal spiral takes a very dark and dangerous turn. They stop playing the perpetual victim, drop the sad act entirely, and switch over to a state of cold, disciplined, and hostile calculation. They finally realize that begging, crying, and dropping hints are simply not working. So they stop trying to lure you back and instead start trying to actively destroy you. This is the exact phase where the emotional breakdown transforms into a formal, strategic escalation. They will weaponize anything they can possibly get their hands on just to punish you for having the audacity to ignore them and move on with your life. If you happen to share finances, they will freeze accounts, hide assets, or create massive, completely unnecessary financial hurdles for you to jump over. If you happen to have children together, they will ruthlessly weaponize custody details, dragging out legal battles, changing schedules at the absolute last minute, and dragging you back to court over minor petty issues. They will drop cold legal threats into casual conversations or use endless bureaucratic harassment just to keep your nervous system trapped in a constant state of panic. Every single move they make in this phase is a highly organized, deliberate attempt to force you into total submission through sheer exhaustion. To soothe the agonizing ego injury caused by your continued, unwavering silence, the narcissist will rapidly secure a brand new replacement partner and loudly parade them in front of the entire world. They will ensure you find out about this new person immediately, whether by blasting their pictures all over social media or ensuring that mutual connections quickly report back to you with the news. This is naturally a deeply painful moment for many victims, as it makes you question if you ever truly mattered to them at all. But you must not misinterpret this desperate act. This new partner is not evidence of true healing, genuine happiness, or actual love. They are nothing more than a temporary regulation strategy, a human band-aid used to numb the excruciating pain of your ultimate rejection. The narcissist treats this new person exactly like a drug to stabilize their crashing ego. The ultimate irony is that even while they are playing house and broadcasting this new perfect romance out to the world, they remain entirely and deeply obsessed with your emotional state. They are constantly looking over their shoulder, watching your life from afar, and waiting for the exact moment you break down, cry, or show any sign of regret. Your pain is the primary fuel they need to feel powerful again, and they will stay completely fixated on you until they finally get it. Phase 4, the weapon of zero reaction. The absolute biggest psychological meltdown a narcissist will ever experience happens the exact moment they realize they can no longer trigger you. To understand why this destroys them so completely, you have to understand their specific emotional currency. A narcissist does not feed on genuine love or mutual respect. They feed entirely on your reaction. They look for your tears, your explosive anger, your desperate panic, and your long, exhausted texts trying desperately to explain your side of the story. To them, any emotional reaction at all, even negative rage, is a massive win, because it proves they still control the thermostat of your life. When you strip all of that away and meet them with total, unflinching indifference, they completely lose their primary anchor. Indifference is their greatest kryptonite because it delivers a brutal, silent message. You no longer matter enough to even warrant my anger. When they throw a massive tantrum or launch a calculated provocation, and you respond with absolute silence or calm, detached answers, it completely short-circuits their brain. You are refusing to hand over the emotional fuel they need to keep their false persona alive, leaving them entirely stranded with their own toxic thoughts. Because they no longer have direct access to you to balance themselves out, you will watch them swing wildly between two extreme and unhinged states of mind, overinflated grandiosity and total internal collapse. One day they will behave as if they are completely invincible, broadcasting a loud, arrogant narrative that they are entirely unbothered, thriving, and way too good for you anyway. The very next day, they will plummet into a dark, desperate state of panic, lashing out or sending erratic messages completely out of nowhere. Their psychological stability is entirely dependent on your active participation, and when you refuse to play their game, they begin to unravel at the seams. When they finally realize that direct emotional control is completely dead, their panic mutates into a desperate obsession with social destruction. Because they can no longer dominate your mind, they will try to destroy your life instead. They will launch hyper-aggressive public smear campaigns, systematically twisting facts and telling malicious lies to anyone who will listen. They will go after your professional credibility, your career, your friendships, and even your family relationships out of pure vindictive malice. All because you had the absolute audacity to stand your ground and treat them like they are completely insignificant. Phase 5. Fake growth and the moral outrage. When destruction, threats, and open anger fail to bend you to their will, the narcissist will pivot to a highly deceptive, last resort strategy. They will suddenly start imitating profound personal growth. This is one of the most dangerous and confusing phases for any survivor because it looks incredibly real on the surface. Out of absolutely nowhere, the narcissist will announce to the world that they have finally seen the light. They will start buying high-level self-help books, posting motivational quotes, or loudly proclaiming to everyone that they have started therapy, joined a support group, or undergone a massive spiritual awakening. They will effortlessly steal your exact emotional vocabulary, using terms like healing, boundaries, accountability, and trauma to mimic a completely transformed human being. They might even send you a highly detailed, seemingly heartfelt apology that touches on every single thing you ever complained about during the relationship. Do not be fooled for a single second by this act. This is not genuine change of any kind. It is highly sophisticated identity camouflage. It is a desperate, calculated trap designed specifically to exploit your natural empathy, lower your guard, and lure you right back into the exact same cycle of abuse. The moment you stand firm, see right through their performance, and refuse to drop your boundaries, their beautifully crafted mask instantly slips away. The fake, enlightened persona vanishes completely and is immediately replaced by a wave of intense moral outrage. A narcissist is completely incapable of maintaining a fake character when it does not give them what they want. Suddenly, they will become absolute furious that their grand gesture of healing did not immediately force you to forgive them. They will turn around and view your healthy, solid boundary as an act of malicious, unfair betrayal. They will look at you with deep, festering hatred and accuse you of being cold, unforgiving, heartless, and cruel. They are completely incapable of understanding that your silence is simply the natural consequence of their own past behavior. Instead, they are completely outraged because your boundary is living proof that they are not all-powerful. They are utterly consumed with rage because you have stripped away their control, closed the door on their manipulation, and firmly refused to step back in to rescue them from the chaotic, burning wreckage of their own making. Phase 6. The delayed return. Even if months or years pass by in total silence, you must understand that a narcissist rarely ever accepts a permanent exit. To a normal person, a breakup means moving on and starting fresh. But to a narcissist, you are a piece of property they once owned, and in their mind, they retain lifelong rights to you. If they happen to drop out of sight and go completely silent for a long stretch of time, do not ever make the mistake of thinking they have finally healed, changed, or left you alone for good. The only reason they disappeared in the first place is because they found a temporary distraction, a new target, a fresh job, or a different source of ego supply to keep them occupied. They simply shifted their focus because it was easier to drain someone new than to fight against your solid boundaries. But the exact moment that new situation crashes and burns, or the second life inevitably humbles them with a financial loss, a career failure, an illness, or an aging body, their internal panic returns. When their world gets dark, they will instinctively look backward and their thoughts will immediately circle right back to you. They pull this delayed routine because they are fundamentally lazy, delusionally entitled, and entirely predictable. Building a fresh source of supply from scratch takes an immense amount of time, charm, and effort, and a narcissist in a state of collapse simply does not have the energy for it. Instead, they look for a familiar well they can return to for a quick drink. When they reach out of the blue 3 years down the line, they are making a massive gamble on human psychology. They are betting everything on the hope that time has softened your edges, blurred your boundaries, and caused you to slip into a state of codependent amnesia. They are counting on you remembering only the good times while forgetting the brutal, agonizing reality of how bad the abuse actually felt. They will test the waters with a casual text, a vague memory, or a sudden check-in, looking for any slight vulnerability, a polite response, or an open crack in your armor. They are not coming back because they miss your soul. They are simply looking for an easy, familiar door to step back through so they can pick up right where they left off and re-exploit you all over again. When you witness this entire chaotic cycle play out before your eyes, you need to tattoo this fundamental truth onto your mind. Their downward spiral is absolutely not your crisis to fix, and it is entirely none of your business to manage. When a narcissist begins to frantically spin out of control, crash publicly, or suffer the natural consequences of their actions, your natural empathy will try to trick you. You will feel a sudden dangerous urge to step in, smooth things over, explain yourself one last time, or play the savior. You have to shut that impulse down immediately. You are not the cause of their internal chaos, and you can never be the cure for it. Your absolute only job in this lifetime is to remain completely anchored in reality and ruthlessly protect your own peace of mind. Every single time they unravel, throw a tantrum, or perform a fake life online, let it serve as an unshakable living monument of proof for exactly why you had to pack your bags and leave them behind in the first place. Their unhinged behavior is the ultimate confirmation that you made the right choice. When you choose to walk away with absolute silence and unwavering dignity, you are wielding the most powerful weapon available to you. By refusing to argue, refusing to seek closure, and refusing to acknowledge their existence, you completely starve them of the dramatic fuel they require to breathe. You deny them the stage, the audience, and the reaction they need to avoid looking at their own empty souls. Let them scream into the void. Let them rewrite the past to their friends, and let them play out their pathetic, predictable cycles with anyone foolish enough to watch. Their life is a burning house of cards, and you have already stepped safely outside the blast radius. Do not look back at the flames. Do not question your worth based on their manufactured illusions, and do not hand them another second of your precious life. Keep the door deadlocked. Maintain your absolute silence and fiercely choose your own sanity, your own success, and your ultimate freedom.